this movie's coming out with Harvey Weinstein. And Harvey is coming out and saying, he was on the Howard Stern show. Do you happen to have any of the audio, Pat?
Yeah, I do.
He's on the Howard Stern show. Now, Howard is a concealed carry permit holder. He carries a gun in New York City. He walks with a gun in his belt in New York City. But he's not going to say any of that on the air.
And that's hard to get. I mean,
that's impossible. There's
really
60, tough. I think, or
maybe 80.
100 or 80. I didn't have I had active. We currently have 10 to 20 current active death threats against me and my family at any given time. I didn't qualify. I wouldn't have gotten a gun. I mean, that's how hard it is. They tell you to hire a
cop or something.
Yeah, that's how hard it is. So he carries a gun in New York City, and he doesn't say anything. With Harvey coming out and saying they're going to decimate the NRA. Listen to this.
Right. It's an important story to tell.
It's an important Holocaust story.
It's not.
And what they're talking about here is a movie that Weinstein is doing about Jews with guns, so that they could prevent another Holocaust.
It's a Holocaust story as much as it's Jews with guns. It's my whole philosophy. Or anybody. It's the idea that when injustice is that great, you just can't march into the camps. This is the story of the opposite.
Do you own a gun?
No.
You don't have any guns?
I never want to have a gun.
But why, if that story resonates with you, why not own a gun?
This is when you're marching 500,000 people into Auschwitz.
Right.
I mean, whatever. I'd find a gun if that was happening to my people.
Right.
Stop.
I don't think.
Where? Stop. Where would you find a gun?
I'd find a gun.
The reason why they didn't have any guns is because the Weimar Republic started registering everybody, and then the Nazis took the guns. You know, Harvey,
because of people like Harvey Weinstein who don't like guns.
I've got a radio that I want to show you sometime, Harvey, and you explain. Well, you just get the information. I just get a radio. I have a radio at my home that was one of these radios that you could only... This is the only radio a Jew could have. Eventually, all of them were gone, and this was then the only radio that any German could have. And it shows you what fascism really is. They made it so they were blocking every other radio signal, so you could only get the friendly radio signals, and it was all approved by the SS. So where are you going to get the radio? Where are you going to get the gun, Harvey? They took them all away.
No, you'd find a radio.
Gun. I just find a radio so I can find a gun.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so moronic.
Find a bullet that I could put in the gun.
Okay, so now, I don't want to hide behind anything, and so I want to tell you, tonight we're doing a segment just based on the Blaze in the just last few days, every single day, and it worked with Pat. Pat said, have you noticed? Because he didn't know. Have you noticed? Like, all of a sudden, people are starting to defend themselves with guns. I said, what are you talking about? He said, every day I see another story of, rape thwarted, robber thwarted. This person thought they were going to rob this little old lady, and they had this surprise coming for them. And I said, you seen that on the Blaze? And he said, yes. And I said, those aren't news stories. Those are just not reported anywhere stories. I said a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I want every time you find a story that is about somebody thwarting a criminal with a gun and winning, I want to make sure it's on the front page. If we can do it, let's at least do it once a week. If we could do it every day, great. Sometimes we do it 3 times a day.
Yeah, and it's not like you go out and invent those stories. It's just reporting the stories that actually occur.
Right, and nobody else does it. And so you have to understand that if you feel like you're behind the 8 ball, it's because you're not hearing the right stories. You're not hearing the right stories. Tonight we're going to show you good stories, good news, and not little kitty cat stories. But we'll show you what Harvey is saying and define how stupid that is. And then we'll show you what guns really do for the average person. Well, if I'm going to get raped, I'll just find a gun. Okay. All right, I'll try to do the math on that one. How about you train your wife and your kids and you to carry a gun? Have a gun. Be completely personally responsible. And then when somebody comes to steal or rape, quite honestly, in my family, you're going to steal from me? Take my wallet, take my ring, take my watch. I don't care. Leave my family alone. You come to try to hurt my family, I'm going to kill you. And if I don't kill you, maybe my 9-year-old son will kill you because he knows how to use a gun too. And if he doesn't kill you, my wife will kill you, or my 3 daughters will kill you, but we will kill you.
Where are all the former Navy SEALs in your security team? Why don't they do it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's assuming that you've killed all the Navy SEAls.
Oh, okay. He didn't really include that part of the story.
Yeah. I'm not. There's nobody in my family, and there's nobody in my circle of friends, and there's certainly nobody on my security detail that says, "Well, if that happens, we'll just find a gun."
That would not be a good security team.
Like how unbelievably anti-Semitic is that statement that he just made? Listen to this.
Anti-Semitic? How?
Were the Jews just too stupid to find the guns?
Yeah, he guys kind of.
Or were they too stupid, or were they just too peaceful, maybe? And they were all just willing to go to the death camps. There was no uprising.
That's a good point.
There's no. Can you imagine?
He wouldn't let that happen to him because he'd just find a gun.
Right.
And it could never happen in this country.
Happen.
Do you think the Jews and the Germans thought it was going to happen to them before it happened to them?
Yeah, they all.
Nobody thinks that will ever happen.
Harvey, so what you're saying is all the Jews sat around and went, you know what? They're going to it's going to happen. They're going to build camps and they're going to build, death chambers. It's going to happen. We know it.
But let them take our guns.
Let them take the guns.
We'll find one when it does happen.
The argument was it will never happen. That's crazy. We're beyond that. They don't mean those words. It'll never happen. And then it was too late. Unless you're just saying they were fine with it or they were too stupid to see it coming. No, Harvey, no. Many saw it. Many refused to believe. Many actually fought and said, no, it will never, ever, ever happen here. And so many just went along with it. Some helped until it was far too late. And then there was no gun. There wasn't a gun to be found. If Harvey understood that people were shot trying to turn their guns in because things were so crazy, the Germans had guns. The Weimar Republic said everybody has to register their guns. That's where it starts. Register your guns. Tell us exactly what you have. The people in the Weimar Republic said, well, I don't register my guns. That's bad. Because what if that falls into the wrong hands? Oh, it'll never fall in the hand. We're going to keep it safe right here in the big vaults of the government. Oh, what happens if the government falls into the wrong hands? That will never happen. That's crazy talk. The Nazis take over. They have all the information. And then they say, all the Jews, turn in your guns. And if you know a Jew that has a gun or is hiding a gun, we'll kill him. Then it became everybody turn in their guns because guns are bad and we'll keep you safe. So everybody did. But by that time, the laws were so upside down and everything was that you could be shot if you were holding a gun. And so people were coming into the police station trying to turn their guns in and they were shot in the streets by another policeman because you're a danger. So people didn't know what to do. So some people kept their guns at their home. And then the goons came in as they were going through the files. He's got a gun, hadn't turned it in. And they were like, I can't bring it in. You're shooting people in the streets how am I supposed to bring it in? Doesn't matter. Jail, execution. Oh, Harvey, how did you become wealthy? How did you learn to tie your shoes with having logic like that was on display with Howard Stern? Sponsor